The town of Prairie Grove coming together to raise money for the victims of the tragedy at Devil's Den State Park. Hear from the mayor why it's so important for him to show his support. And a new name for the Department of Defense, the reason for the change and why some are hoping for more of it at the nation's capital. Plus, it's the talk of the town, Razorbacks, Red Wolves at War Memorial. We've got the latest on the score, fan reactions, and more. And that is exactly where we will start tonight. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Kathryn Roley in for Brooke Buckner. Brooke, I hope you are enjoying the game alongside thousands of others who are there right now. Now I'm here with Carter. Carter, you were there at the game earlier today and you've talked with some fans. What more can you tell us?
Well, it felt like the entire state of Arkansas turned out for this game. Every person I talked to said they were from somewhere different. And they had a lot of other things to say too about the game, the atmosphere, and especially who would win.
Where are y'all coming from today and who you're rooting for?
From Hazen, Arkansas and A-State.
Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
Okay, and you're for the Hogs.
Oh yeah.
We're coming from Jonesboro and we're rooting for the Red Wolves.
I think this is one of the most exciting atmospheres we've seen.
Everyone's super excited and like a lot of people said they were coming, so that's really exciting because like our whole student body I feel like was on the way here.
Y'all ever think you'd see a game between Arkansas and Arkansas State?
I've been waiting 50 years for this and it finally come true.
No, I never thought they would get it together. All the back and forth.
Graduated from there, played there. I've wanted it forever.
I don't think it matters which team you're rooting for. This is going to go down in history.
Hogs by a million! That's the last thing I got to ask y'all. Give me a final score prediction.
We're going to win. It's going to be ugly.
It's a good practice game. 53-17 Hogs.
Reverse of his.
53-17 Red Wolves.
Amen.
I think the Hogs are going to get 31 and the other team's going to get 10.
24-31 Red Wolves.
21-14, go Wolves.
47-17 Razorbacks.
6-6.
Wow, defensive battle right here. I love it.
I think the Hogs are going to crush them.
36-20.
Okay, who's winning?
I hate to say it, but U of A.
31-10 U of A.
I think we're going to get like in the 70s and then they might get in the 40s.
Okay, high scoring game.
I do not really like the Wolves.
I do not really like the Wolves. That could be a battle cry for Arkansas fans today. Coming up in sports, THV 11's Tyler Cass will let you know if any of those score predictions have a chance of being right. Kathryn, back to you.
Carter, thank you so much. Well, I'm joined here by meteorologist Simone Thomas. Now, Simone, it's been a little active at War Memorial today, but it was also a little active earlier today with some thunder, lightning, and rain. And so that happened earlier today, but what can you tell us about what's going on this evening and into tomorrow?
Yeah, so anybody that got a head start on that tailgating and maybe stayed overnight at the stadium, you did get a little bit of a wet evening and overnight, but through the day, we've been losing the rain and the clouds, and we even got some drier air in place. Dew points in the 50s in the natural state, but I'm showing you much of the south to kind of give you some context as to where that cold front is now. It's hanging out along the Gulf Coast where we still see those juicy dew points in the upper 60s and lower 70s. You see that reflected with the temperatures as well. Lower 70s here in the capital city. I know it probably feels phenomenal at War Memorial. Across much of the south in response to that cold front, we're seeing some 70s and lower 80s, closer to the 90s along that Gulf Coast where we still have yet to kind of feel the effects of that front. But luckily for us, that front's passed through. We've got some quieter conditions through the rest of the evening. A northeasterly wind that does get a bit calm overnight as temperatures fall into the 50s. We'll talk about how long this new taste of fall will stick around in that 7-day outlook.
Simone, thank you. We'll see you in just a few minutes. But tonight, the Prairie Grove community is coming together to honor Clinton and Kristen Brink, the victims of the Devil's Den murders, with 100% of the proceeds going directly to the family. Laura Castleman from our sister station in Fort Smith is at tonight's fundraiser, showing us how the city is rallying to support the Brink family.
Today, Prairie Grove community members are gathering for a special event, one to support the 3 young girls who were affected by the Devil's Den tragedy. The Brink community event, organized within 3 weeks, kicked off at 4 this afternoon. Residents and local businesses like Bean Boys and the Prairie Grove Pie Lady, dozens have donated food and items for auction to raise funds for the Brink's family.
the culmination of the community coming together, and then the evidence of that. So when you walk out here, you just see it. You see it in the items, you see it in the food, you see it in the people coming together.
With things like free food, donations, and even a live auction donated by the community, this event is about helping the family move forward.
Tonight, the Trump administration is pushing to rename the Department of Defense. It comes after there are new calls, including from the president's former Surgeon General, to fire Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. CBS's Nicole Killian has the details.
President Trump took a step on Friday to return the Defense Department to its old name, the Department of War.
We won the First World War, we won the Second World War, we won everything before that and in between, and then we decided to go woke and we changed the name to Department of Defense. So we're going Department of War.
It was called the Department of War through World War II and officially became the Defense Department in 1949.
I think it's a much more appropriate name, especially in light of where the world is right now.
Signs were promptly swapped out at the Pentagon as the executive order also moves to change the title of Secretary of Defense to Secretary of War.
It's restoring, as you've guided us to, Mr. President, restoring the warrior ethos, restoring victory and clarity as an end state.
After a contentious hearing on Capitol Hill this week, calls are mounting for Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to go, amid concerns over the agency's vaccine policy and a leadership shakeup at the CDC. On Saturday, Trump's former Surgeon General Jerome Adams told CNN that Kennedy should absolutely be fired over what he called Kennedy's dangerous policies. The president is standing by Secretary Kennedy for now. Meantime, the president made a major announcement here at the White House. He says the U.S. will host world leaders for the G20 summit in Miami next year. The president said Friday his golf course and spa in Doral will host the summit at cost and will receive no profit from the State Department or a foreign government. The gathering is scheduled for December 2026. Nicole Killian, CBS News, the White House.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration is also planning to deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia to Eswatini in Africa after previously saying he would be sent to Uganda. Now, earlier this year, Abrego Garcia spent weeks imprisoned in his home country of El Salvador after he was mistakenly deported and is currently in ICE custody after being brought back to the U.S. to face human smuggling charges. However, last week, a federal judge ruled that he can't be deported until at least early October. And it comes after there are many voicing their displeasure with the increase in raids and use of National Guard troops across the country. According to a recent Gallup poll, public opinion is shifting, and protests across the country today is backing that up. When asked if immigration should be kept at its present level, increased or decreased, 30% now say decrease, opposed to 55% in June. And in case you missed it, over at the state capitol, Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders says Arkansas is taking steps to crack down on contraband cell phones inside prisons, phones that officials say are being used to coordinate violent crimes. The announcement came alongside FCC Chairman Brendan Carr, Senator Tom Cotton, and Attorney General Tim Griffin after the tour at the Varner unit, where thousands of illegal cell phones have been confiscated. Cotton has been a lead sponsor of a bill in Congress pushing to allow prisons to install jamming equipment, and the FCC is set to vote on a plan to do so later this month.
What I'm focused on for the people of Arkansas is not necessarily passing laws or putting out press releases, but getting results, making a difference in their lives. And I'm pleased that we've reached the point, because we have a president, President Trump, who's dedicated to law and order, and a FCC chairman in Brendan Carr, who is going to drive that agenda forward to allow our state prisons and jails to use new, modern, cutting-edge technology.
The FCC's proposal would create a framework for prisons to work with wireless carriers to block illegal phone activity while protecting nearby neighbors' signals. The vote is set for September 30th.
As those clouds continue to push out of the state, you can expect mostly clear skies tonight, where we'll wake up in the 50s for your Sunday, rebounding to the lower 80s, continuing to see a lot of sunshine. Full details on the next several days are coming up in 3 minutes.